Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Average Review. And today, we're going to be reviewing what many consider to be the definitive Marvel Legends Classic Spider-Man. The 2020 Retro Carded Spider-Man. Let's get into the way this guy looks first of all. The head is a nice classic Spider-Man, heavily influenced by classic Spider-Man artist John Romita Sr. You can see the nice red, the thick black outlines around the eyes, but unfortunately some of the eye paint on this side is uneven, so the webs don't exactly reach the edge of the eye. And there's also a bit of messing up here. These are just quality control issues on mine, though, so you might not have this issue. Then again, you might. It's kind of just a coin toss. The hell's a toin? Moving down to the torso, and we have some very nice red and blues. These are probably what I envision when I think of Spider-Man's color scheme. The webbing is super tight, and there's also a bunch of it, but not McFarlane levels of webbing on the suit. The logo is also very nice. Small, but also some really nice points on the legs of the spider. I'd also like to mention that there's some black outlines that, border the red and blue areas of the suit. I just want to mention this because some Spidey figures do that and some don't. Taking a look at the back of the figure, though, and we can see a fantastic back spider logo. I mean, that is just clean, and it narrowly avoids the butterfly joints. Although I do gotta ask, did they have to put the only fabric tugs on the figure on his butt? I mean, I don't see any other fabric tugs except right there. Moving down to the arms, and similar to the torso, it's got some nice shades of red and blue. I do have to say, though, I feel like there's a missing web right down the middle here on the shoulder. I mean, you can see it too, right? But anyways, very nice, muscular arms. I like how they have that bit of red on the elbow joint right there. But unfortunately, this figure has the pins in the arms, so on the underside of his arms, there's these big red joints. Not as common now, since with the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man based on this body, we have pinless joints, but hey, it was the best we had at the time. Down to the legs, and they are very defined in their musculature, and we do get to see more of that nice blue. Now, there's still pins, but this entire area on the legs is blue, so that's not much of an issue. Boots, what else can I say? They're nice. They look like Spider-Man's boots, The webs are nicely painted on. They're sculpted pretty well. They've got this sort of pajama foot look that Spider-Man pretty much always has, It's good. The presentation on this guy is immaculate, minus some quality control issues that are unfortunate. Now let's move on to articulation, which is one of this figure's strong suits. His head is on a dumbbell joint, and it moves back this far, and down this far. It also lets him spin around and tilt his head side to side. His shoulders can spin around and hinge up about 90 degrees. Pretty nice. He's also got butterfly joints, which go back all the way and get a good bit of forward. He's got biceps swivel and double jointed elbows with a pretty good range, along with hands that can spin around and hinge up or down. Now, at the torso, he's got a diaphragm joint, which lets him wobble around like so, and also spin, and a waist crunch, sort of similar to the ab crunch that most Marvel Legends have, which lets him bend forward in combination with the diaphragm joint, and backwards. I mean, seriously, look at this. It looks like Spider-Man's broken his spine. Now, he does have ball-jointed hips, but there's actually a hinge in them that lets them drop down. It just looks like I'm moving the actual hip on camera, but believe me, there's a hinge that lets him drop down and kick even higher. I mean, seriously, look at that. Unfortunately, he doesn't get as much split as I'd like, but still a good amount of split. He's got rotation at the thigh thanks to a thigh cut, double joint knees with a great bend, boot cut, and feet that can hinge backwards, forwards, and pivot side to side. Now, normally I'd save the accessories for after the comparisons, but since we're doing head swaps this time around and this figure has an alternate head, figured I might as well go through them. You can see I have him here with one fist and one web shooting hand, but he has another fist and another web shooting hand. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any wall crawling hands. But let's talk about that alternate head. It's this really nice Steve Ditko styled Spider-Man head. You can see that the whites on the eyes are a lot thinner than on the head that came preloaded with him. Now, I would like to mention the incomplete webbing on this head is a bit more noticeable than on this one, but there's less issues on this head on the lower side of the mask than on the stock head. So, I guess that's interesting. But hey, let's start the comparisons off with the standard male and female figures for these comparisons, Renew Your Vows, Spider-Man, and Spinneret. Now, for a while, Renew Your Vows Spidey has been the perfect Spider-Man for me, and you can see why. It's a very 90s and 2000s influenced one, but I mean, come on. It's practically impossible to beat the classic look. I will say though, Renew Your Vows has the advantage of being pinless and also having a toe joint. But these are on basically the same body, so if you wanted to heat up the boots on this guy and put him on this Spidey, then you could get Retro Card Spidey with toe articulation. And here's the head swap between the two. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a difference in the reds. It's much more noticeable on camera than it is in person. I just want to say that quickly, but even in person, you can tell there's a bit of a difference. I gotta say though, if Renew Your Vows Spidey actually had the same color scheme as Retro Spidey, then it might be a more fair fight. Just saying. And hey, I mean, Retro Spider-Man has a back logo that isn't broken up by the figure's joints. Renew Your Vows Spider-Man also came with this fantastic Peter Parker head sculpt, so here's what that looks like on the Retro Spidey. Oh yeah, and here's the Ditko head on Renew Your Vows. Pretty interesting look. Oh, and here's Amazing Fantasy 15 First Appearance Spidey. It is based on the same body mold, but it's smoothened out and shortened a bit, which I think does work in making this Retro Spidey seem like an older version of this Spidey. Now, this head swap is an interesting look. I will say, this feels a bit more like a Ditko Spider-Man than the one that actually came with the Retro Spidey. I mean, you can kind of see my point, right? Oh, and once again, the color difference isn't as noticeable in person than it is on camera. Oh yeah, and here's Amazing Fantasy 15 with the Ditko head from Retro Spidey. I'm gonna keep the Spidey comparisons quick this time around, so lastly, we have the Magnetic Spider-Man from Toy Biz based off of the Spider-Man Classics body. I mean, you can really see how much bigger the Retro Spider-Man is than the revolutionary Spider-Man Classics body. So let's get on to some of Spidey's villains, starting off with two of the best versions of his arch nemesis, the Green Goblin. The left is from the Toy Biz Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave, and the right is from the Hasbro Sandman Build-A-Figure wave. I wish that Toy Biz Goblin was a little bit taller, but if you have him posed flying around on a glider, it won't be as noticeable. But for another villain who you could also consider Spidey's arch nemesis, here we have the SPDR Wave Dr. Octopus. I usually don't have him with his tentacles out for these comparisons since it takes up so much space, but I felt like being generous. But let's move from villains wearing gaudy garments to those that are a bit more modest in how they dressed. On the left, we have the Rose, who's the son of the Kingpin, and on the right, we have the Chameleon, the first true villain Spider-Man ever fought. But hey, we brought his son out, so let's also bring out the Kingpin. He's actually from the same retro card line as this Spider-Man, and he looks equally as fantastic. But let's move on from one giant John Romita Jr. drawn villain to another with the Rhino. The left is from Toy Biz's Spider-Man Classic series, and the right is from Hasbro's Marvel Legends retro carded line. But hey, let's also bring out some more modern characters. I say modern, but both Venom on the left and Carnage on the right are over 30 years old, so not as modern as you'd think. But hey, compared to everyone else, here they are. The Venom is from the Amazon exclusive Life Foundation 3-pack, and Carnage, I'm not sure what version this is, but he was released twice, once in the Ultimate Green Goblin Build-A-Fig wave, and again in, I believe, the Monster Venom Build-A-Fig wave. Either way, these two symbiotes look great with this Spidey. But hey, let's move from some more modern foes of Spider-Man to one of his oldest, being the Vulture. Now, this specifically is actually the ultimate version of Vulture that came in a 2-pack with Ultimate Spider-Man, but still, it's the only Vulture I got. Let's also bring out a similarly green-clad villain, the Scorpion. But no other foe has been as persistent in their pursuit of Spider-Man as J. Jonah Jameson. This specifically is the version from No Way Home, played by the legendary J.K. Simmons. Let's take a quick detour, though, from some villains that Spider-Man consistently fights to villains from other Marvel books that he's fought. Starting off with the 80th anniversary Juggernaut that came in a 2-pack with Colossus. And I gotta say, that 2-pack is just fantastic. Probably one of the best Marvel Legends 2-packs just ever, and the best one that I own. And also, to end this very quick detour, let's bring out Doctor Doom, specifically from the Cabal 3-pack. But hey, Doctor Doom serves as a nice segue to one of Spider-Man's greatest friends, and also a member of the Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm the Human Torch, seen here in Toy Biz and Retro Card Hasbro versions. For another heroic ally of Spider-Man, we have the Man Without Fear, Daredevil. Left is from the Toy Biz Urban Legends box set, and right is from the Retro Cards Spider-Man line. A Daredevil-adjacent character that debuted in Spider-Man, though, was the Punisher, once again from the Urban Legends box set. Similarly to Spider-Man, Doctor Strange was co-created by Steve Ditko and was captured beautifully in this Walmart-exclusive comic Doctor Strange. But hey, let's bring out probably Marvel's second most iconic superhero at this point, Captain America, seen in versions from Toy Biz's Face Off line and the Hasbro 20th Anniversary of Marvel Legends line. I gotta say, I think both Spidey and Cap deserve to share the spot of greatest hero in the Marvel Universe. That's how good both of them are. Gotta say though, I kind of prefer Cap, personally. Let's also bring out Thor and the Incredible Hulk. They aren't super relevant to Spider-Man, but hey, they're some of Marvel's other most popular characters. Thor is from the 80th anniversary of Marvel line, and the Hulk is the Maestro body, but with the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends Hulk head. And finally, here's the Retro Cards Spider-Man with Hitmonkey and Goliath. Alright, let's get to probably the worst part of this figure, the pricing. It's a bit complicated because you can see him on eBay for around $25 or $30. There is a warning though. A lot of those, especially the ones that just use stock images, are bootlegs of this figure. Yes, bootlegs of this guy exist. I don't know, this one might be a bootleg for all I know, but I don't think it is. But anyways, I got mine for $30, although I've seen one in packaging go for over $50, which is, it's a bit much for me, but honestly, $30 seems like a little bit much to me for this guy. Not because he's bad, but any other Marvel Legend like this, just a regular one for $30, you know, I probably wouldn't spend that. But this is the Retro Spider-Man, the definitive classic Spider-Man for most, and that's probably the reason why it's so expensive and why there's bootlegs. People want this guy. Alright, let's get on to my final score. This Spider-Man is near perfection. Now, I do say near, because there are issues. The pins in the arms aren't too big of a problem for me. There's issues like that on other figures, so I can excuse it. Unfortunately, though, he's missing wall-crawling hands, which are pretty major for Spider-Man. There's also the quality control issues on the heads, which is also pretty major since it's one of the main focuses of the figure, you know, their head. That tends to be what most people look at, so if there's a quality control issue on that, it's pretty major. And so, I'm giving the Retro Card Spider-Man from 2020 a 9.5 out of 10. I felt like a 9 would have been a bit low, but 10 was too high, so 9.5. I've also seen Deadpool 3 yesterday, and to say it was fantastic would be an understatement. I'd also like to mention, I've got a bit of a Deadpool and Wolverine related review coming up around tomorrow. We'll see. Other than that, though, remember to have a great day, 'cause you deserve it.